Christ was an outlaw and he's a street warrior. He stood against the whole system for a reason, a very powerful reason. And we go into all the evidence about this, every single bit of it. I want to tell you something, okay? I can't trust one single human being on earth to tell the truth about me. Not one. I wrote a book in 2004 that was stopped by the authorities with 66 court orders. I was the most wanted criminal in the underground world, the most powerful outlaw, the most powerful street warrior you will ever come across. And I'm telling you the truth. I don't need to manipulate. I cannot lie. The documents to back me up is phenomenal. And I do mean phenomenal. 34-year study by the biggest think tank in the world. The most powerful mastermind reports in the world. I'm number one on every report. In the biggest gatekeeper report. In the Star Chamber inquiry by the shadow governments. The biggest think tank in the world. In the Star Chamber inquiry. I was the most wanted in the underground world. And the most compromising situation they ever dealt with. As I unearthed every single thing they were doing with corruption, coercion, collusion through the whole system. I unearthed every single thing through the UN and NATO and their educational system, in treasoning, in our body cells, in corruption, coercion, collusion during the daytime, and mentally institutionalized by the educational system on reverse psychological engineering. We have amnesia trapped in the reincarnation trap. And I'm not trapped in the reincarnation trap. I do not have amnesia. I have a genetic memory. Okay, with my ancestors and tools, I can do things that no one else can do. Okay, very powerful information. 7 most powerful documents, right, by the biggest think tank. I can do things no one else can do. Right, mental telepathy, ESP, remote UN, telekinesis, levitation, spoon bending, clock winding, folding space and time with deja vu, predict the future, prevent what's going to happen. Listen carefully. I'm sitting under the UN by NATO right now in Denmark. Okay, the first person to deport it from Australia after 47 years. Unlawfully, they threatened 3 lots of lawyers. So I couldn't get to court. Unlawfully. I couldn't get to court. They threatened my lawyers. I'm sitting under Interpol at the highest registration by Interpol. And it's not a joke. I come from Australia. I'm in Denmark, sitting under Interpol by the Nordic father nation. By the UN and NATO, because they control Interpol. It's not a joke. You think I'm a joke? I'm being punished for the rest of my life. I've had to sacrifice every single thing in my life, my wife, my kids, my family, my children, my grandchildren, every single thing about my own home. I've had to sacrifice every single thing in my life to be here today. Every single thing. I have sacrificed everything to be sitting in front of you today as the number 1 whistleblower worldwide and number 1 person in every study done. Primordial being number 1 with godlike power in the biggest documents ever researched in modern history and DNA, the Book of Life. My DNA leads society with freedom, the cure of the human conditioning. Well, we can all do what Christ can and more because the biggest study's been done with me. And I can do every single thing that Christ can and more. And it's not a joke. The most powerful documents on earth, more powerful than Christ himself. Right? And you need to have faith in it because if you don't, you're stupid and you're possessed by nefarious, beyond the point of return, trapped in your mind, your own mentality, with the voice of mind that tells you to do that, with artificial intelligence, malicious mutation. And most people beyond the point of return that can't think straight. They can only 7 to 15% of the brain. In the highest IQ people in the world, I use 100%. I'm limitless. You're limited. You're trapped in your mind and personality and mentality. You do not know what you do. You can't think clockwise like I can with deja vu and predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. So therefore, you do not know what you do when you can't see it with your own 2 eyes with remote viewing, right? With dimensional thinking, right? With parallel dimensional codependent relationship. Because without that in tune to codependent power, you don't have the right EMP pulse. So therefore, you haven't got divine power to command nature, but I do. With the most powerful confirmation and bringing someone back to life at 99 super 7 viewables and CCTV in the most powerful miracle ever recorded in modern history. She writes the most powerful poem in 2003, the one and only. And it's me, the one and only, on every single study done. Right? So pay attention to what I'm saying to you. I am one of a kind. I'm the only one that comes with the resurrection and protect the elect. With When I Breathe in program, the Holy Breath of Life is won and open prize without a credential to recreate the sacred secretion and the Holy Breath of Life in your Neuralink, the tree of life. Okay, to reactivate your molecules and your genetic memory with the ancestor tools to go back into primal state, right, with an outside influence in reality. You see in the movie Limitless, sevenfold wisdom and knowledge, to get a clarification and use 100% of your brain. Okay, so my drug bred manna that Christ is most useful in every testing centre across Australia. Across Australia in every testing centre. And the drug was through the whole system, where they found the most powerful confirmation on earth with the drug, bred manna, that Christ is most used, that brings you back into primal state, like you see in the movie Limitless. It mimics the sacred secretion that you naturally create through When I Breathe in program, right? To oxidize your blood, you naturally create through When I Breathe in programs to go deep with the Holy Breath of Life, reactivate the Neuralink, reset some the biological clock in the central nervous system, and create some METH effect to be alert, alive, aware with DMT and MDMA, with the sacred secretion, with ecstasy, high as a kite, most high as a kite, most high, where you feel nothing, no more pain, stress, and fear, in a time where time still like it serves, where you have a clarification and don't suffer any mental source and no defects when you come out of your mind, like you see in the movie Matrix documentary, where Keanu Reeves sits outside his mind through the light of the inner tunnel and controls the business from the outside in and beats resurrection and don't suffer no mental source and no defects. Freedom beyond the mind. Okay, I'm the biggest mastermind in the world in the gatekeeper report. I am the gatekeeper of God-like power with 130 people arrested in the Starship inquiry. And number one worldwide in the biggest study ever done. So don't you think I know things that people don't know? Of course I do. And that's why I'm telling you it's a natural selection and natural order in your own DNA with genetic memory. Your Neuralink. Neuroscience proves it. Neuroscience and Neuralink proves it. Mind doesn't know what we're doing. We're making too many unnatural selections with defective genes and mental disorders and are ready into our kids. And our kids have no idea what they're doing because they're crazy. Because their parents are crazy. Declared in 99. The last human being on earth that can think instinctively outside the mind with the natural process and natural selection life with the natural organic molecules with the genetic memory and genetics ancestry tools coded in their own DNA with supernatural power was born in 1960. And let's just lie about it because they're species in denial, trapped in their mind beyond the point of return, and don't care anymore because they haven't got any feelings. They're always anti-clockwise. It only works 1 to 5%. Okay? And it only works at night time. Their body cells can rise and illusion during the daytime. And it's everything they die from and suffer from prematurely from the human conditioning in 98.7% of the population, and they live in denial. Right? So they're anti-clockwise in a massive global delusional state with voice in mind that tells them to do that when they believe in their own truth and come to their own conclusion with reasoning, which is 5 cents in negative fields. Consciousness is only middle process, illusion, imagination. And that's what everyone lives in, mentality. And that's their personality. But it's not reality because that's spirituality. And they haven't got any. Because their third eye shows them the picture of 1,000 by 1,000 work on the light of them with dimensional thinking, remote viewing, and they shall be able to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. And it doesn't work. In any one of these species, they live in an actor. They're just an actor for someone else because they can't use their brain. That's why we activate your brain. Choose 100% of your brain. Because it doesn't work. The highest IQ people working at is 15% of the brain. So they do not know what they do they? So nor does any pastor and preacher or any Christian, because they all die prematurely from stress-related diseases with amnesia and keep coming back and reincarnate as and don't believe in it. The evolution theory is the greatest deception ever created with AI, artificial intelligence by the governments, by the systems, artificial intelligence, with every mutation and wrong grammar, with science. And, they're all anti-clockwise. And 125 plus IQ is brain deformity. And they select people with brain deformity in law and order. With chaos. With court structure. And court jargon. With treasoning. Because they make your body cells go corruption, collusion, the minute you go to school. When you're clockwise from 0 to 7. And you create 2 months mortality. And 130 nucleosome genetic repair kits. And you can mastermind a computer game between 3 and 7, and you can see with the sixth sense, the third eye. The sixth sense, the third eye to see the picture tells 1,000 words. So you can mastermind a computer game. You can see on YouTube 8-year-old kids since they're perfect from 0 to 7 and they don't go to school to be mentally institutionalized, go anti-clockwise, by 8 years old, third-eye children, superhumans, they can read, draw and write blindfolded. Like Bruce Lee can mastermind by 24, fight 12 big back karate blindfolded, and block every punch 7 times faster than any human being could think, even with black belt karate. Blindfolded. He has stage taboo, predict the future, and prevent what's going to happen. A child can read, draw, and write blindfolded with their sixth sense when they don't go to school to be mentally institutionalized with voice in mind to be anti-clockwise. And their biological system goes anti-clockwise, and the sacred secretion die to use their sixth sense by the time they're 12. And then they become artificial and robots to fact-check Google themselves and think their parents are dinosaurs. Okay, then they go anti-clockwise in their mind with IQ and can't do any of these things. But a child at 8 years old, you can see on YouTube, right, can read, draw and write blindfolded, and by the time he's 12, they can predict the next car coming around the corner and what colour it is. Predict the next car coming around the corner and what colour it is. So they can't get stabbed in the back. The way you're set up, you can get stabbed in the back because you can't use it. That's the obvious. You're anti-clockwise. You're not clockwise. So a child at 12 years old can also predict who's ringing on the phone and what they're wearing on the other end. Like George Clooney, they were staring at ghosts. You can feel this, mate, with a codependent feelings for the atmosphere. Right? Codependent relationship with the atmosphere, with the divine power of the gnostic web. Right? To command nature all the way around the planet. So you can feel the truth, right? And see it with remote viewing. What they're wearing. And a child has that ability by 12 and starts to ask deep and meaningful questions that no wish never works out because they don't care. They only care about themselves and their opinions. And all their book smart education reverse psychology. So their body starts going corruption, illusion, they get trapped in their mind with amnesia, trapped in the reincarnation, trapped with mentality. And that's their reality because it's their personality. But they're not in their spirituality. With mental telepathy, ESP, remote view, and telekinesis, levitation, spoon minute clock mining, folding space and time with deja vu to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. But a child can do it at 12 if they don't go into the UN system where their body starts going corruption, illusion during the daytime and they go into disc spiral and suffer mental disorder and defects from mental institutionalization. And that's where the evidence is right there. Where Bruce Lee can mastermind by 24. And a child, he knows the boogeyman, the monster under the bed. The parent says the dream, go back to sleep because get possessed by it. That's right, they get possessed by it. Then they do what the boogeyman tells them. That's only a voice in the mind. Okay, that tells them whatever to do. When they think critically, that tells them to do it, and don't do it because it's only a personality. Their Christ consciousness sounds heavenly and it's only a personality. But they can't think outside the mind instinctively. Those that think instinctively tune out program. They have a bioweapon in such a way that women cannot form against them. Because they think with their spiritual list of mortal state, which is their brain. And their brain's outside. You can see that in the movie Limitless. The brain's outside, not in here, in the psychedelic effect, not in the mind. You can see that in the movie Limitless. He comes out of his mind and gets a clarification and not a psychedelic effect. And then use 100% of his brain. It's outside the mind. Like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, outside the mind. You mean like Plato describes in 15 books, to stick your head through the light in the tunnel from outside the mind? And only a few people could do that? You mean like Winoff tells you, right, with university, Oxford University, on an interview on YouTube, Winoff interview, Oxford University, where he tells them, right, here's one person out of 113 masterminds that can do what we can and more. And we're the only ones that know. And he says to the Oxford University, to new scholars, you know, Christ knew this, how to use the 6th sense, 7, 8, and 9, 27 senses to think outside the mind, but very few people knew. You mean like Jeremy McGivers says, the biggest bowlers in the whole world, held by 16,000 top scholars in the world, the Holy Grail of Life, the book Freedom by Jeremy McGivers, as he says, very few people stick their head out the cave, the light at the end of the tunnel. That's right, very few people will. They all sit in the comfort zone and think they know better. And that's what happens to the majority of the population, trapped in their mind, and do not know any better in the mind. Christ was right, I'm right, no one else is. I'm the most authentic person in the whole world, and the biggest mastermind, oppressed by NATO, UN, and the whole goddamn system the most. Oppressed by high-tech, Facebook, and every single system the most. By the governments, by UN, by NATO. Yet I come with the most powerful confirmation on earth. And they know through 6 international events. Well, I'm on CCTV. I'm not on CCTV, on 6 international events by the biggest security system in the world. The all-seeing eye is the hub in Pine Gap, Australia. For CCTV worldwide, okay, phone radio waves and satellites. And on the all-seeing eye, I go through 6 international events, register highest level by Interpol with a 6-page warning letter. I cannot travel anywhere. Okay, I write 3 official letters 11 months earlier saying I'm going back to Australia when I get unlawfully deported, so I do it. I'm not on one camera, every other person there is. They can't explain it. I'm on CCTV outside, and the JP confirms, talking to me, especially in Brisbane International Airport. When I walked through there, I had a conversation with him about forwards, and he said he owns a red GTHA Mustang, confirmed. I'm on CCTV outside 1 minute later. On the train platforms, on the trains, I'm not on CCTV inside every international event for 6 international events. I wrote 3 official letters I was going to do this, put a glitch in the system, and nothing in the world could stop me. I became the most compromising situation, got put in a 747 with 55 officers after they discovered the most powerful confirmation on earth, the most powerful document on earth that God does exist with evidence and works with me in the most powerful confirmation on earth. I wrote in the documents, God's going to create this, and it's never been seen before in history. It has now, by the biggest think tank in the world, by the all-seeing eye, and the most sophisticated security in the world. It's Interpol. Interpol. And I went through 6 announcements, and they know. And wrote on the documents, the head of border security in Brisbane, Australia, he changed his face to him and came in with a pastor. He wrote the most official, powerful document in the world and the most powerful confirmation on earth. God does exist with evidence. God does exist with evidence. Then I moved on a 747 with 55 others with body cam and dictaphones at 2 o'clock in the morning. And you could drop a pin at the airport because the planes were shut down. 2 o'clock in the morning, 55 others with body cam and dictaphones. And guess what? They got shit scared and wouldn't get on the plane. They got shit scared and wouldn't get on the plane. The government's shit scared of me. They tried to kill me and set up me for 3 murders. Nothing worked. Okay, nothing worked. They tried to deport me unlawfully back in 2009. They can't deport me. So they did it unlawfully and threatened 3 lots of lawyers. The government, in 8 corrupt cases in Australia, Chief Justice Joyce in 2010, in every university in Australia put in the cases, the most corrupt cases in Australian history, and it's my cases. The money laundering case and the witness protection case. And they stopped this book, The Testimony of Rugby Reborn, with 66 court orders because I was exposing what they were doing with mind control for 230 plan, with Hitler's plan that already tells you. And I am the truth because you're under mind control. And have been for 100 years, and we exposed it in 97. It went worldwide in 99, and you were told your parents are crazy. And you were told you're speaking in 2003, and you're in denial. So much denial, it's unbelievable. You keep turning a blind eye. When this is exposed in 99, your parents are crazy, your world is crazy. They're stripped from their 6th sense for the 6th time in the 6th mass extinction. And people's going with mental disorder and defects going through the roof and turbocharge rates, and are confused about this. But there's only one way to cross over, back in your primal state. There's only 1% of people that's crossed over with the book Freedom by Jed McGivers, the Holy Grail of Life, and When I Breathe the program. Nobody else has. They've never gone back in the primal state. They live in the delusional state in the comfort zone. They do not know what they do. There's only one way through this, to cross over. Only one way to cross over. Back in your primal state in the 6th sense, in your spirituality, because if you don't do that, you're going to 6 mass extinction, stripping the 6th sense for the 6th time. That's why they're going underground military bunkers, nuclear bunkers by 227. That's why it's predicted all over the world 227. Because it's not a fucking joke. It's real. It's on the New York climate clock. The 7-year countdown to 227. Vatican's telling you. Kim Clements telling you. He predicted in 213. We knew. And I predicted way before that. And they saw it in the looking glass in the 60s. That's why they're doing this. And you're oblivious to this. You're living in a comfort zone, man. But I'm telling you now, you don't know what you're fucking doing. Okay? I'm the most powerful outlaw in the world and the most powerful teacher in the world with the resurrection of humanity, because no one else can do it. Nobody. There's no one else teaching it worldwide with the elect. I'm the only one. I'm the only one that knows. I'm the only one that can do what Christ can more than every single apostle in my DNA with genetic memory. I'm the only one who can cross people over to go through the transformation. The greatest transformation in human history. The greatest transformation in human history, what you can do with Christ and more with your own genetic memory and your genetic ancestor tools to go back into primal state. It's the biggest transformation in the Neuralink, the Tree of Life Jackson ladder, happening worldwide. But you have to go through natural selection. You have to stop unnatural selection. You have to stop artificial intelligence. You have to stop using the mind. It's only a personality. You have to think outside the mind. Over and above and beyond the mind, like Christ said, or you won't be able to do it. Trust me, I know. You have to be a full-on outlaw to know this. You cannot comply to the system in any way, shape or form or sit on radio waves and screens all day and learn this. It's impossible. You have to be a full-on outlaw. You have to do the deadly opposite to what everybody else has done. Go full-on against the system and every religious, political cult and every New Age cult. You have to do the deadly opposite to learn what this is all about. It's completely anti-clockwise, so you do not know. You're trapped in your mind. You can only 7 to 10% of your brain. Trust me, I know. You have to be a full-on outlaw and go the opposite direction. And I had to do that for a reason. So I learned and have the greatest experience and wisdom and knowledge to know what's going on. And trust me, I have a genetic memory. I'm son of Christ, son of David, son of Abraham. It's not my fault. You watch my videos. You watch the Mark on Earth I left here. You won't ever discredit me again because you know what? Look at the testimonies of my followers. Look at their platforms. Seriously. Look at them. I cross people over every day. Been doing it since 1994 and saving people from death since 1992 with the most powerful herbivores. The most powerful confirmation on earth. So don't think for 1 minute I don't know what I'm doing. I created Bread Manna, the drug, on every testing center in Australia in the Starship Inquiry. That brought people back in the primal state with the most powerful documents on earth that led to the book Freedom, the cure of the human conditioning that will save humanity. And it will save every single one of you from suffering, mental disorder and defects, okay, and a death experience when you cross over. You go in a time where time is still like preserves. No more suffering. No more stress, fear, and anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, and paranoia. No more sitting in a comfort zone. Freedom beyond the mind, way beyond the mind. Freedom that you've only ever dreamt about. Listen carefully, guys. The UN and NATO, the House of Lords is a natural justice act. The House of Lords is a universal sovereignty under the First Act. The Natural Justice Act, I won every court case under the Natural Justice Act, which is being breached on every single count in every country, in every UN country. More than 500 natural laws are being broken, right, for your biological system and DNA. Right? Treasoning is happening, right, through the whole system. Everybody's in treasoning for what they do to their kids and put them in school because their body says go anti-clockwise into corruption, coercion, collusion. And that's treasoning. What they do to their children is put them in school to be mentally institutionalized and possessed by a demon in the mind. It's a known fact. By a demon that controls them. Right? Boys, that's only a personality, boys in the mind. They go to school, right, to be institutionalized with demons in their mind, to be anti-clockwise and do what they're told. And they can't use their sixth sense because they become mentally institutionalized. Okay? Into psychedelics effect. Right? Into mental disorder and defects. Into a personality with mentality. And it's not their sacred secretion. It's not their natural process. It's not their natural organic molecules. It's not their natural selection. It's not their natural order. Their natural order, they can do what I can and more. We show that on 1,000 different levels. In the most powerful confirmation on earth, their natural process is mental telepathy, ESP, remote you, telekinesis, levitation, spinning, clockwinding, folding space and time with deja vu, predicting the future, prevent what's going to happen. There's sixth sense to see the picture that tells you 1,000 words you see in the movie Limits. That's their natural process. A child is perfect from 0 to 7, and its aura's clockwise. He creates 130 nucleosome molecules genetic replicated, and we can take the blood transfusion out of a child, and it can preserve an adult and his father, just with a transfusion. That's how powerful the molecules of mentality is to preserve DNA with longevity. And a child is perfect with the sacred secretion, with the third eye, with the sixth sense, to use all its natural abilities when he comes into this world. Now, as a purported worldwide, We keep on evolving with mental disorders and crazy effects, right? And denial worldwide from generation to generation. And now Americans, 77% of their children is born with chronic diseases and their Neuralinks shut down. Their neurosyncs collapsed because everyone's in denial from generation to generation. As a result from this, our kids go to school to be institutionalized and use their biological genes and collapse their biofields, getting younger from every generation, right? With artificial intelligence and keep coming back and reincarnate without realizing it. The greatest deception ever created was evolution mutation and artificial intelligence by NATO and UN and the Rockefellers. On artificial intelligence, we'll leverage mutation. So we make 100,000 unnatural selection that destroys us. Okay, destroys our own biology. What we project for the atmosphere is a delusion, right? With manifestation, artificial intelligence. And we mutate non-stop and normalize what was more yesterday, non-stop from generation to generation. We normalize what was more yesterday, right? Non-stop from generation to generation. And now we're so artificial, our biological genes are saying clockwise, and our body cells going corruption collision during the daytime and can only be at 3.5 hours a night. We cross people back over from the same to 0 to 7, back in the primal state. That's why Christ said, go back to your childhood and follow my footsteps, and you can do what I can and more. And trust me, we teach that with the most powerful confirmation on earth. To go back to your childhood in a 40-day test, fasting, and stop unnatural selection. Isolate, don't eat, take zinc, iron, magnesium, drink water. Okay, drink lots of water and liquid, but don't eat. Get off screens, get away from people, don't be competitive, don't get in conversation, isolate. Right, stick to yourself, mind your own business, get into yourself with window breathing program to recreate the sacred switch and push the oxygen and the METH effect, push it more and more every day. Go deep into your sixth sense and recreate the relationship, the universal codependent power that you had as a child because you were magnificent as a child. And trust me, when you go through this and cross over, you go through a 3.5-hour transformation. And that 3.5-hour transformation happens in your biological genes with natural selection and a natural order where things come to you out of the blue with a wow factor, a universal connection, a universal power, divine power to command nature, and it happens to your body. When you live by the one-yard weekly, how to govern life equally, that's under the House of Lords and Natural Justice Act. The Natural Justice Act under the House of Lords is a universal language, which is the one-yard rule how to live equally, how to govern life equally, and two simple commandments to love one another in words and flesh. Compassion and good deeds in real life, not on social media platform, not like an actor, but in reality. Reality is spirituality. Okay? Sitting on a screen all day is mentality and a personality and an actor that only wants to make a name for themselves and only care about their own opinions. And that's what most people are trapped into worldwide, as an actor in a personality mentality and talk about their own opinions. And that's all they care about. Well, that's 98% of the population on reverse psychology engineering and can't do nothing in real life. Can't keep a relationship together because you've got no intuitive, codependent relationship, no codependent power, no soulmate relationship. They haven't got déjà vu. They haven't got remote viewing. They haven't got codependent feelings to see things from miles away. You see, they have no comprehension. They can't feel the truth. They can't read with their radar. They can't see with déjà vu. They can't see with remote viewing because they can't feel the truth. They lost their feelings, their biofields. They come to their own conclusion with reasoning in the mind, which is nefarious, 5 cents of negative fields, with their own conclusion. And they're trapped in that mentality, and most are beyond the point of return. It's not a joke. It's reality. It's reality. We're going in a 6th mass extinction strip in the 6th sense of the 6th time. And trust me, mental disorder and D-defects are going to go through the roof. And we have 2 selections here. Unnatural selection or natural selection with Neuralink. Okay? The natural selection with the book Freedom, had by 16,000 top scholars in the world, the Holy Grail of Life with the Holy Breath of Life, we're not breathing. Or unnatural selection with Harari. And a lot of people's going into that in the time we're in. But when you get through September 27, you're at the point of no return. If you don't cross over by then, you only have 1 selection left. But this is where you suffer for 1,000 years. Because you'll never be free. You'll be trapped in your mind. And most people are trapped in their mind with Neuralinks, and they go through the artificial intelligence. And that's what they're selecting without realizing it. With artificial intelligence without realizing it. They're selecting the wrong radio waves because they're possessed by it, addicted by it, and so many addictions and possessions they don't even realize, obsessed with themselves, possessed with their own opinions, possessed with radio waves and addictions in screens all day. And 98% of people sits on a screen 8 hours average a day in a 5 sense world with radio waves, World Wide Web, that controls them, the principality and the power in the air, that will tell them whatever they believe in. Because the sewing machine opened up a portal to the matrix that's only a personality, with the 5 sense world and the 5D world, light powered, deceiving, demonic, because it's only a personality. And it'll give you a Christ consciousness mental event. It'll give you a Christ consciousness mental event, an illusion, imagination, and sounds heavenly, and delude you to believe whatever you want in your mind. And most people don't believe in their own truth. That's what the problem is. They don't believe in the real truth, only their own truth. They come to their own conclusion with a voice of mind that tells them to do that, and they're controlled by that voice, beyond the point of return of majority. And it's not a joke, it's reality. And reality is spirituality, not mentality, not grammar. It's a mathematical mind. To master your mind, it's a mathematical genius that can use 100% of the brain. It's not grammar. It's not religious, political behavior with book smart education or New Age era. New Age design, artificial intelligence with light powered, deceiving, and demonic that they rely on, like drugs, in their comfort zone, sitting in front of the screen all day, and have no relationship in real life, and no codependent relationship in real life, and no soulmates at all. They suffer mental disorder and defects going through the roof, and they lie to themselves about it at the same time. And that's New Age in their consciousness, a mentality, a mental event, and that's what they live in, a mental event and a personality. They don't live in spirituality. They don't live in reality. That's why they can't use their natural process or make any natural selection, because their biological genes has fallen apart. 85% of the brain don't work. Their 24th chromosome's in dormancy in cellular study research, and that gives them supernatural power. 27 fears have got 32 senses. They only live in a 5 sense mentality. They can only use their 6 sense 1 to 5%. In every single Western, 98%. And they don't even believe in them. They're a species in denial. How would they know? They're unqualified to judge. They have amnesia. They're trapped in the mind. Can only use 7% of the brain. Right? Only 7% and 1% of the aura. So they haven't got any power to command nature, because they don't go through natural selection. And without going through natural selection, they'll never get a confirmation, and they will never be selected to be given the God-given power to command nature, because they can't be trusted. Not when they come to their own conclusion and think they're their own God, because that's what they think. They think they're gods, like atheists do, who thinks they're God's given gift to mankind. And that's every Westerner with white supremacy. And that's a fact into themselves. Not too many people go back and promulgate in their moral medicals. I'm the most powerful outlaw in the whole fucking world, right? And we discovered the biological fields with a drug called manna in the underground world, and brought people back in the promulgate the course of Royal Commission and my products in every testing centre. They win the biggest DNA study ever done. I'm the most powerful confirmation on earth. I can do what Christ can and more, and they found my DNA with the cure of the human condition in 2008 in the biggest study ever done. I'm primordial leader number 1 that knows how to cure every single thing you suffer from, because I don't live in the mind, I live outside the mind, in my primordial state. You can't see me, you don't know who I am. You were told that in the Bible. You will not know who I am, because you live in your mind, your personality. I don't. I live in my primordial state, and you cannot see who I am. You cannot see who I am.